You gave my life to me, set me free, set me free. The finest years I ever lived.
It's interesting to me that these aren't necessarily natural colors. Was and deep blues aren't what and oranges aren't necessarily, but yet it doesn't feel artificial. It doesn't feel it feels natural.
I think it feels like both things that you have experienced with your eyes and things that you've experienced with your soul.
I was up this morning, a little before sunrise, and I have a
Mhm.
routine where first thing I do is get the coffee started, and then I go open the blinds,
Mhm.
and then I sit down, waiting for the coffee to get done. And I noticed this morning, I always like my morning chair to be next to a window because there's
Yeah,
something just unbelievable about that.
agreed.
And It's funny how people who are in prison, they often, if they're writing about it, they're often commenting on the lack of natural lighting. There was a priest, Father Cizak, who was an American Jesuit, who felt, and this would have been in the 30s, felt called to bring the gospel to communist Russia, learning the rhythms of the Jesuit day, and ended up getting captured by the communists and thrown in, spent several years. He was actually in a prison in Moscow when the Nazis were on the gates of Moscow.
Oh, wow.
Uh, so he's stuck in this prison, isolated. In a sense, he's safe. He's not having to fight in the war like everybody else. But and of course, there's the question of whether the building's going to get bombed or burned down. But in that one, he comments on how in his cell he could see diffused light coming from above, but not direct sunlight, and how
Mm.
the diffused light was incredibly important to him, but how he yearned for direct sunlight. And
Yeah.
this morning, I'm happen to glance out to the left, and it's very gray, except for a very bright, burning red where the sun's
Mhm.
about to come up.
Mhm.
It's just so it's red and gray, and that's just like wow. And then
Mhm.
I get my coffee, I sit back down again, and then I look, and of course now it's just blue, like those few minute or seconds of
Yeah.
very intense colors are gone. But there's something about the feeling of light coming that
Mm.
is always exhilarating.
And for me, I think it is, I think it is because we're integrated beings and the things that play out in the natural, um, maybe point towards the things that are coming in the spiritual, or we long for in the spiritual, or we're not sure if they're going to ever happen. But you know, the sunrise, the springtime, the new life, um, I think nighttime can be viewed as death, like as a you can connect the night with death. So I think the sun
Mm-hmm.
coming up hints at resurrection, hints at,
Mm-hmm.
okay, yeah, the darkness lasted for a time, but it never has the last say. But I agree wholeheartedly. There is something significant about it, and that's, I guess, one of the bonuses of getting older and waking up early on natural is that you get to see more of them. Like, yeah, I really resonate with what you're saying. It reminds me in November of last year, I got to go meet some buddies in Moab, Utah, and I didn't realize how beautiful of a place Moab is. Like it's desert, and you see the zoomed in pictures of people, driving their Jeeps up crazy rock formations, and we were there riding dirt bikes. But I was up in the morning early before the sun and sat on a big sandstone rock behind my camp and faced east and watched the sun come up over the mountain range to the east. And yeah, there's like the everyday sunrise that is beautiful, and then there's those occasional ones that seem extra set apart because you're in a set apart space. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but anyhow, there is something significant about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, every time. I remember being in Mexico City was invited to participate, observe the formation of the Association of Vineyard Churches Mexico. So they had about
Cool.
25 vineyard churches, and they had a meeting to you get to a certain point and you can form your own national association, and they were in the process of doing that in Mexico and gathering together, and the meetings right in the center of downtown Mexico City. And I got up early for my quiet time, and in the hotel we were in, I managed to get on the roof. The door was unlocked, and so there it was extremely muggy and also polluted, because Mexico City is pretty polluted. And the sky was just orange, and the sun's coming up, lighting up orange, and then there's a constant stream of airplanes. They look like they're just floating in toward getting ready to land at the airport, and it was just such a surreal sight. And the sun hits so many different types of things.
Yeah.
I mean, you're talking about being out in the arches in Moab and looking at the La Salle Mountains or whatever, clear and pristine, or some ugly city, which a few days later I would have my wallet and passport stolen in the subway in Mexico City. And this contrast between light and dark is just always remarkable everywhere. And John is interesting because he totally plays on this theme. He talks a lot about the times of days. He says things like they can't get me because it's still light and there's more work to do. And things being done in the light versus the religious leaders who are happy to work in the dark. We have a religious leader showing up in the dark to visit Jesus. And maybe the most striking, to me at least, is the night of the Last Supper. And Judas leaves to betray him. And when Jesus says, go do your thing, at that moment, Satan enters Judas. And then there's a simple sentence, and it was dark.
Yeah.
Or it was night, I forget. But
and it's dark when they arrest him, right? Like
Yeah.
they're carrying torches.
I would give everything I own just to have you back again, just to touch you once again.